now the latest talking point is Warde Manuel, the athletic director at Michigan, is still intact and he has not been fired despite several rumors of him being let go. And I was just thinking to myself, was he the athletic director when all this stuff with Jim Harbaugh was going on? Yes, it was. And so I looked this up, and it's not just that. There was a clickbait article that said 4 scandals that happened while Warde Manuel has been athletic director. And you think to yourself, okay, how many strikes does this guy get? And I also think that because of Michigan winning a national championship, that a lot of this was pushed to the side. But now Michigan in yet another coaching fiasco as Sherrone Moore is absolutely crashing out. We certainly hope that his mental health gets back on the right side of things. But needless to say, Michigan is without a coach, and it's not a great time or a great year to be in a coaching search with so many teams, have hired new head coaches. So let me ask you, Jenks, do you think some of this falls on the athletic director with all of these scandals in this very short period of time?
I need more information, but yes, it points that way. And look, we could be wrong, but when you're hearing reports, at least, that this was done sort of in a silo without human resources and without security, then that is not proper protocol. And I think more than anything, you open yourself up to a lawsuit. Like, this doesn't feel like it was done cleanly. Let me put it this way, because it's pretty clear when you have an internal investigation that you have some details. Maybe you don't have all the details yet, but this has been going on for a while. So I'll say this again. What did Michigan know, and when did they know it? Because if they've known, okay, there could be some mental issues at play when it comes to Sherrone Moore, and they knew this a month ago, then why wasn't there allegedly human resources and security in place for someone who could potentially be a danger or be a danger to someone else? We don't know the details, but these are some of the reports that are coming out. So you were trying to say, okay, this will save us money. Unlike the Brian Kelly situation, not fired for cause. That's about wins and losses. This is about cause, and you walk away and say, we don't owe you anything. But if you don't go through the proper protocol and you don't have security in place and you knew that there could be some sort of mental issue here, now you're opening yourself up to a potential blowback as far as a lawsuit is concerned, not just from the alleged victims here, but also Moore himself. So Michigan is in a really tricky spot. And when you talk about the history that they have, yeah, it's a precarious position for the AD when this has been one bad move after the other, or what is seemingly one bad move after the other.
Right, especially when it's a move or a scandal that doesn't involve winning. Because at least the Harbaugh stuff ended in a national championship. So I think people are like, yeah, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. That's fine. We'll carry our national championship trophy, all the way around the victory lap here. But with Sherrone Moore, I think the difficult part is how much falls on the shoulders of management when it's simply one guy who is making a bad decision. Because this is not the first time that we've had a college football or even a college coach make a bad decision when it comes to extramarital affairs. Wasn't it Hugh Freeze that was who was he texting?
God.
Call girls?
I mean, the greatest one of all time is Bobby Petrino.
Bobby Petrino.
That's the one.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Remember when...
Neck brace.
Oh, the neck brace. Because he was having an extramarital affair, I think with a volleyball player at Arkansas. It was clearly an extramarital affair, so I need to brush up on that. But he was absolutely having an affair, and then he wrecked his motorcycle that he was on, and she was on it with him. So initially it was, hey, it was just a wreck. I got turned around. I'm okay. But then the reports came out, oh, he had someone with him. It was the woman with whom he was having an affair. So then he couldn't deny it anymore. I mean, you look at the records and be like, oh, he wasn't alone. And that's when he had to show up in a neck brace. And he and his wife still together, by the way. But that's, I hate to say the GOAT because it's not a good situation. But as far as scandals and the reminder of that scandal that is remaining, Petrino is still number one with a bullet.
Yeah, that was the most famous crash
Oh,
out because it literally
yes.
involved a crash, and like his
Yes.
face looked like, the depiction of what was going on. I think the Sharon Moore stuff is, I don't want to like be insensitive and be like, it's less memeable just because it sounds like he's in a really tough spot. Anytime you threaten to kill somebody or alleged to threaten to hurt somebody and hurt yourself, like I think he's under constant supervision now. It's just you look at the athletic director and you're like, hey, were there signs of this before where maybe this just wasn't a good hire because of his mental state? So I don't know. Like, I don't know all the details. We'll see, when it comes to fruition, but it's certainly, a crash out of this decade, I at least feel, for Michigan football. One last thing. I saw this quote that was floating around the internet that I thought was interesting. Somebody said, Sharon Moore should have listened to Nick Saban. Nick Saban one time said, ultimately, you never want to sleep with anybody who has less to lose than you do. So ultimately, if I'm ever going to sleep around on Miss Terry, it's going to be with Hillary effing Rodham Clinton. What a quote.
That's why Nick Saban is the GOAT. Not just personally, but professionally. And I love that everyone knows his wife. Like, hey, Miss Terry's the one in charge, by the way. Yeah, Miss Terry is the one in charge, by the way. I always like that is the smartest, best thing you could ever say. Like I might be Nick Saban, I might be the GOAT. The real GOAT is this woman right behind me who's been supporting me the entire time. And they appear, by all accounts, to have an amazing relationship. So isn't Nick Saban curious in that, look, he's kind of softened as he's aged, which I think most people do, right? You've been through it and you have more perspective and wisdom on things. And just through the course of his career, it was, this guy's such a hard ass. And then later on, it's like, you know what, though? I kind of love it. Now he's showing us a few more details of his personality. We're getting to know him a little bit better. We're hearing more about Miss Terry. When he gets fired up, he's giving us these memorable quotes, rat poison. We're seeing him on College Game Day. But honestly, that's kind of that protective barrier, because I would think that recruits and people who have played for him, even in his early days, would speak to him like we speak about him now. We just weren't allowed that access.
Right. And there's also a strategy involved to why he's so hard on players. Obviously it has produced greatness because he has such high standards. But I think we've seen this with a lot of athletes and coaches. And it's almost weird to where you almost wish they would revert back occasionally so we know it's not like a clone of
yes,
themselves, and like the old version is somewhere else. Because we've seen this with Tiger Woods, who is no longer like the overbearing presence on the golf course, which I know he has like 17 surgeries, but still he's not as intense as he used to be. And obviously number one on this list is Bill Belichick. Like the complete turnaround that we've seen with him. And I saw a UNC fan trying to make this joke, saying that, oh, you guys were concerned with the wrong head coach's girlfriend. It should have been Michigan you were talking about. No, we can still talk about Jordan Hudson because she's still crazy too.
Yes. Why do we have to pick one? We don't have to pick one, guys. It drives me crazy when, as you know, I feel like I repeat myself on this show. And God, I would always tell Catherine, I'm like, have you heard this before? Both things can be true. But I feel like the both things can be true concept is absolutely crucial, because people inherently now, if you live online or you live in the comments, people want to take a side and they stick to that side no matter what. And it's like, well, you got to pick one. Whose side are you? Which one's worse? It's like, hey, both situations can be bad. How about that? Have you thought about the idea? Like, I don't know why we necessarily need to rank one being worse than the other. Can't you just accept that both are less than ideal? I mean, if you want to say, look, when there's arrests involved, of course, fine. But the idea that there's some sort of debate going on, I'm like, neither of these things are good.
Right. There's room for more than one headline on TMZ Sports.
Yes, correct.
You can click on.
Like a side link.
So, yes, we will continue to rail on Jordan Hudson and UNC. And plus, I went to NC State, so I will never stop clowning UNC for this massive problem that they seem to have. Hell, maybe it gets better. I don't know. Maybe next year, if Bill Belichick sticks around, it's going to be a great comeback season. LOL.